Words of Sri Aurobindo from the book The Mother, Part 2, Letters on the Mother by Our Lord, Chapter 8, Sadhana through work for the Mother, page 200. It is not our experience that by meditation alone it is possible to change the nature, nor has retirement from outward activity and work much profited those who have tried it. In many cases, it has been harmful. A certain amount of concentration, an inner aspiration in the heart, and an opening of the consciousness to the Mother's presence there and to the descent from above are needed. But without action, without work, the nature does not really change. It is there and by contact with men that there is the test of the change in the nature. As for the work one does, there is no higher or lower work. All work is the same provided it is offered to the Mother and done for her and in her power. Date 6th October 1934. This happens when the work is always associated with the Mother's thought, done as an offering to her, with the call to do it through you. All ideas of ego, all association of egoistic feelings with the work must disappear. One begins to feel the Mother's force doing the work. The psychic grows through a certain inner attitude behind the work, and the adhara becomes open both to the psychic intuitions and influences from within and to the descent from above. Then the result of meditation can come through the work itself. Question. X says that he cannot feel your presence during work as he can during meditation. He does not understand how work can help him. Sri Aurobindo says for that, he has to learn to consecrate his work and feel the Mother's power working through it. A purely sedentary subjective realization is only a half realization. Date 23rd January 1934. The Mother does not think that it is good to give up all work and only read and meditate. Work is part of the yoga and it gives the best opportunity for calling down the presence, the light, the power into the vital and its activities. It increases also the field and the opportunity to surrender. It is not enough to remember that the work is the Mother's and the results also. You must learn to feel the Mother's forces behind you and to open to the inspiration and guidance. Always to remember by an effort of the mind is too difficult. But if you get into the consciousness in which you feel always the Mother's force in you or supporting you, that is the true thing. The Mother does not usually give specific advice such as you ask for in regard to the insurance company. You must learn to get the true inspiration in the mind's silence. Date 18th August 1932. Will those who live in peace is the question. Will those who live in peace and samatha but do no work for the Mother or do little work get transformation? For this question, Sri Aurobindo says no, they do not get transformed at all. Date 7th May 1933. Next topic, 2 stages of union with the Mother's force. The feeling that all one does is from the divine, That all action is the mother's is a necessary step in experience, but one cannot remain in it. One has to go further. Those who can remain in it, who do not want to change the nature, but only to have the experience of truth behind it. Your action is according to the universal nature, and in that again it is according to your individual nature, and all nature is a force put out by the Divine Mother for the action of the universe. But as things are, it is an action of the ignorance and the ego. While what we want is an action of the divine truth unveiled and undeformed by the ignorance and the ego. Sri Aurobindo continues to say, so when you feel that your actions are all done by the force, Shakti of the Mother, that is the true experience. But the will of the Mother is that all you do should be done not by her force in nature as now, but her own direct force in the truth of her nature, the higher divine nature. So also it was correct what you thought afterwards, that unless there is this change, the experience that all you do is done by her will cannot be altogether true. So it will not be permanent till then. For if it were permanent now, it might keep you in the lower action, as it does many, and prevent or retard the change. What you need as a permanent experience now is that of the Mother's force working in you in all things to change this ignorant consciousness and nature into her divine consciousness and nature. It is the same with the truth about the instrument. It is true that each thing is an instrument of the cosmic Shakti, therefore of the Mother. But the aim of the sadhana is to become a conscious and perfect instrument instead of one that is unconscious and therefore imperfect. One can be a conscious and perfect instrument only when one is no longer acting in obedience to the ignorant push of the lower nature, but in surrender to the Mother and aware of her higher force acting within oneself. So here too, your intuition was perfectly true. But all this cannot be done in a day. So you are once more right in not being anxious or uneasy. One must be vigilant, but not anxious and uneasy. The Mother's force will act and bring the result in its own time, provided one offers all to her and aspires and is vigilant, calling and remembering her at all times, rejecting quietly all that stands in the way of the action of her transforming force. Your second view of this was more from the right angle of the vision than the first. To say, it is not I who have to act, so I need not mind, is to say too much. One has to act in so far as one has to aspire, offer oneself, assent to the Mother's working, reject all else, more and more surrender. All else will be done in time. There is no need for anxiety or depression or impatience. Date 13th July 1935.